Hello and welcome back, everyone. A special shout out to all the students in Professor Seggi's social psychology class at Los Angeles City College. We are officially kicking off your second module, and let me tell you, we're about to go on an adventure into the most fascinating subject you'll ever study, which is you. Seriously, forget everything you think you know about textbook chapters. This is more like getting a map for a really cool personal quest. So, you ready to explore? Let's dive in.
So, let's just start with the biggest question of all, right? Who are you? I mean, this is the question that keeps us up at night. It's what drives our choices. It shapes our relationships. And the cool thing about this course, starting right here, right now, is that we're going to give you the psychological tools you need to start finding your own answer to that question.
And I'm not kidding about that. Think of this whole module as a practical guide, like the official user manual for your own brain. It's all about understanding the software you're running on the inside, so you can handle everything from, complicated family stuff to the absolute grind of the LA hustle with a lot more clarity and a lot more confidence.
Okay, so every quest has to have a starting point, and for us, it begins in the world around us. See, before we can really get who we are in private, we've got to deal with who we think we are in public. And it turns out, our brains have some pretty interesting ideas about that.
So here's our first big idea, the spotlight effect. You know this feeling. It's that sense that you're walking onto a stage every time you walk into a room. You just feel like every single person is looking at you, judging that bad haircut or noticing that little coffee stain on your shirt.
But here's the honest-to-goodness truth. Everyone else is way too busy being the main character in their own movie, worrying about their own spotlight. That feeling that everyone's watching you, it's mostly in your head. So just relax. I promise you, nobody is keeping a tally of your hoodie rotation.
But even if people aren't watching us as closely as we think, our social world is still a huge part of who we are. It's like this constant conversation going on between you and your environment. Your friends, your family, the culture you're living in, they're basically helping you draw the map of who you are.
So, now that we've kind of looked at the outside world, let's turn inward. It's time to actually map out that internal landscape and figure out how we build this whole thing we call a self-concept.
So the building blocks of your self-concept, they're called self-schemas. And an easy way to think about them is like mental file folders you keep about yourself. You've got a file for good student, maybe one for shy person, or loyal friend. And these files help you sort through information about yourself super quickly. Now, culture plays a huge role in how we build those files. This table breaks down two major ways of thinking. On one side, you have individualistic cultures, super common here in LA, where the focus is all on me, my identity, my achievements. But a lot of us also come from or live in collectivist cultures, where the focus is on we, our connections, our group goals, our duties to each other. It's this constant balancing act, right? Between to thine own self be true and no one is an island.
And if you want to see just how deep this stuff goes, check out this study. Researchers offered people a bunch of pens, but one of them was a unique color. And look at that split. Americans overwhelmingly grabbed the unique pen they wanted to stand out. Asians, on the other hand, overwhelmingly chose the common color they valued fitting in. It's such a simple choice, but it shows a really profound difference in how we're wired by our culture.
Okay, so every good adventure has to have some traps, right? And the quest to know yourself is no different. Our minds have these little glitches, these biases that can totally lead us down the wrong path. So let's learn how to spot them.
Let's start with an absolute classic, one that every student here knows all too well, the planning fallacy. It's that little voice in your head that whispers, "Oh yeah, that 10-page paper? I can totally knock that out in like 2 hours Sunday night. No problem."
And boom, here's that reality in a chart. Your super optimistic 2-hour plan somehow turned into an 8-hour caffeine-fueled panic at 3 in the morning. The key thing to get here is that this isn't just you. It's a documented feature of the human brain. We are all naturally terrible at guessing how long things will take.
I just love this quote from the course material. It perfectly sets up our next mental trap, the self-serving bias. We're just naturally wired to see ourselves in the best possible light. You know, when things go well, it's because we're brilliant and we worked hard. When they go wrong, the professor probably made the test too hard, right?
All right, so we've navigated the social world, we've dodged some mental traps, now we get to the good part, the reward. We're going to unlock two of the most powerful tools you have for building a successful life. Let's talk about self-esteem and self-efficacy.
Now this is so important. These are not the same thing.
Self-esteem is your general feeling of self-worth. It basically answers the question, do I like myself? But self-efficacy is different. That's your belief in your ability to actually do things. It answers the question, can I do this? You could have super high self-esteem and still feel totally hopeless about passing a math class.
And this is exactly why this matters for you, right now. Forget just feeling good about yourself for a minute. Believing you can do the thing. That's self-efficacy, and it's one of the best predictors of whether you'll actually succeed in your classes and later on in your career. It's really the engine of achievement.
And you know what the best part is? You can build it. This isn't some magic thing you're either born with or not. It's a feedback loop. You try something, you work at it, you start to get better, you achieve a small goal. And that little win builds your belief, your efficacy, that you can do it again. And that fuels you to take on the next bigger challenge. Just remember this, competence builds confidence.
Just a quick but really important word of warning. While self-esteem is generally a good thing, there is a dark side. When it's not based on reality or actual skill, it can puff up into narcissism. And that combo of a high but really fragile ego, well, research shows it can be a recipe for aggression when that person feels challenged. So healthy confidence is the goal here.
So, as we start to wrap up our first big adventure in this module, let's pull it all together and figure out what the big takeaway is for your ongoing quest.
What this course shows us are two powerful and kind of competing truths. On one hand, there's the danger of pride, that an unchecked ego can make us difficult and push people away. But on the other hand, there's the undeniable power of positive thinking, where a real belief in your own abilities, your self-efficacy, is basically rocket fuel for achieving your dreams. The real goal is to find that sweet spot in the middle.
Everything you've learned here is just the beginning. You have the map now. You have the key concepts, the guide to the traps and the treasures that are inside your own mind. Now the real adventure starts, actually applying all this, exploring the territory of your own life, and of course, continuing to work through the amazing material in this course.
So I'm going to leave you with this thought. You're getting a look under the hood of human psychology. You're learning how the self works, how social influence works, how relationships work. So the ultimate question isn't just about what you'll learn, but what you're going to do with it. Now that you know how the mind works, what are you going to build with yours? I am so excited for you to see what you discover next in this module.